At the moment it's quiet over here. We are building up our new premises, our new test lab. But it is my dream that it will be busy here, busy with all kinds of organizations working together, testing charging stations, cars in a pleasant environment, in an open infrastructure. My name is Onoph Caron, I'm the director at ElaadNL. For the first time in history, electric mobility and the grid come together. And since this vehicle, which is a battery on wheels, is a high power vehicle, it can have a lot of influence on the grid, and we have to test a lot to see that that works well.
All parties who are developing e-mobility charging, of course, do a lot of testing themselves. What's unique here is we have an open environment with many different products and services available, where parties can test in a neutral environment. My name is Lonneke Driessen and I work at ElaadNL as Director Standardization and Test Lab.
Testing is important, not just for the grid operators, but for every stakeholder. This is a new industry, there's a lot of innovation, and we have to work together to overcome problems and to see how it works in the future.
I am Thijs from Wijk and I am Operational Manager of the ElaadNL Test Lab. We started testing at ElaadNL when we were still a charge point operator. We wanted to know for sure that the charging stations we put into the field, that they functioned properly, so we started testing those. Mainly what we found was that after a firmware update, for instance, a charging station's behavior could totally differ. So we tested more and more of these updates of charging stations. Then we started to grow organically. We got more electric vehicles and more charging stations to our lab, and we started to do more and more tests.
So a few years ago, ElaadNL organized a testing event where we had so many vehicles, so many charging stations, and we saw trucks and buses and DC fast chargers wanting to join, that we realized we need just more space, physical space, but you also need a strong grid connection so you have sufficient power available to test large power simultaneously.
I'm looking mostly forward to testing with heavy-duty trucks and electric buses and see what the influence of these devices on the power quality of the grid is. We do several different tests at ElaadNL. The first test is the interoperability test. We test if electric vehicle A can charge on charging station B. We do this for AC charging, but also for DC charging, and in time also for heavy-duty charging. The second test is the smart charging test. We test if an electric vehicle is capable of charging on different charging speeds. So we lower the charging speed, for instance, when there's less renewable energy available, or we increase the charging speed and see if the vehicle can cope with that. The third test we do is the power quality test, where we test if there are any kind of distortions coming from the electric vehicle or DC charger which go into the grid. We can also test the immunity of an EV charger or an EV itself on power quality disturbances in the grid itself. The fourth test we do is the cybersecurity test, where we test if all the communications from the charging station, the electric vehicle, etc. are secure, so nobody can hack into these devices to hack the grid. The fifth test is the chain test, where we test all the communication between all the different devices in the EV ecosystem. So from charging station to electric vehicle to back office system and any systems connected to that system. The sixth test is the grid connection test, where we check if the connection of the charging station is conform to the standards and norms from the grid operators.
Well, of course, mobility is by definition international. The vehicles that drive around come from all over the world. Also, charging infrastructure is being developed and manufactured in many different countries. And since at ElaadNL we test them all in combination, we are an international test lab.
My dream is that ElaadNL will become an institute where all electric vehicles and charging stations will come to be tested.